All right, guys. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how one of my students, Michael, was able to land his first appointment setting client in literally just a couple days of working with me. I'm going to walk you through his exact timeline and like kind of how it happened, his outreach strategy, and exactly how he accomplished this so quickly. And we literally went from somebody who was completely lost and had no idea how to make money online, had failed with some business models before, to somebody now who landed a client, isn't making like millions yet, but he's on track to make over 3K per month. While still working his full-time job. So definitely taking in a good chunk of change there. And I promise he didn't get like lucky or he didn't find like some like magic secret button that like most gurus would tell you is out there. And he also didn't find like a secret business model to try. He just like put in the work and did what he needed to do. So without further ado, let's get straight into it in this video. Cool. So I'm going to make my camera a little smaller because you guys don't need to see my full face, but this is Michael right here. Currently, he's 22 years old. He's working a 9-to-5 job at a firm, but that 9-to-5 job was leaving him unfulfilled because you don't really have much freedom. He actually sent me a message talking about like, oh my God, the job I'm in won't let me take vacation time off. It sucks, dude. It really does. Like you can't just like do what you want, when you want, where you want. That's really the nature of the game with working a 9-to-5 job. And he also came to the realization, which I talk about obviously a lot in my content, if you guys haven't seen it already. The reason that he wasn't making money online, because he tried stock trading, he tried a clothing brand, he tried drop shipping, he tried SMMA, and none of these business models really worked too well for him. The real reason he wasn't finding success, though, is not because the business model was inherently bad. Like there definitely are better business models than others. 100%. I'm not saying that, but you can make any business model work. The reason he was failing is because he was actually lacking skills, right? And then what's ironic, I talk about this a ton, so you guys should know this, like when you build your skill sets and you become like stacked in all those areas, you can really make any business model work. So it's kind of like ironic on how that works, right? And he also understood that after failing with some of these business models, he needed some accountability, right? Because he didn't know if he was like not putting enough work or if the business model just like sucked. Like I've been there, done that, so I get it. And also he didn't want to keep going down the cycle of just like trying more and more and more business models like most people do, right? He wanted to break this. He wanted to finally land on one business model that he could run till at least 10K per month, right? So with that being said, Michael, after watching some of my content for about a week on YouTube, he decided to start working with me one-on-one on the 3rd of July, right? So 7/3/24, he decided to pull the trigger and start to work with me. He saw the value in working with a mentor and somebody who had already gone down the same path that he wanted to go down. And he was a little bit nervous to pull the trigger because it was like a sizable investment. And it is to work with me. It's not like millions. It's not tens of thousands of dollars, but it is a 4-figure investment. So it's not just like you just blow that whenever you feel like it, right? So with that being said, he was a little bit nervous to pull the trigger and do that investment because he didn't want it to fail. Obviously, you want to make like a return on your investment, but he ultimately knew he needed to do it. So we got started, right? With that being said, he joined the program, put in an introduction, loved the content already, etc. He joined on the 3rd of July. And like literally right away, the same day, we got to work on the following things. Number one, we focused on shifting his mindset. So most people, the reason that they don't find success is not because of their business model. It's because they either lack skills or their mindset isn't dialed in. Because I could have the most skills in the world, but if I don't like if I have things that are inherently wrong about the way that I think about money and how to make money online, like if I think that making money is like some evil thing, I'm never going to make money online, despite how much skills I have and despite what business model I'm in, right? So we shifted and we worked on that immediately right out of the gate. That was number one. So boom. And this is an ongoing process. Like this isn't like done by any means, but we're still working on this, but we had to do some things right out of the gate. And then number two, I taught him everything that I knew about the info product industry and how to do remote sales in the info product industry. So showed him all of that stuff because that's the industry that we work in here. And then number three, I helped him dial in his profile to start doing outreach. So using Instagram, which is kind of like the strategy that I teach, make sure that his profile was primed up and ready to go to do outreach. And then we set him up with some exact outreach strategies, scripts, interview tips, and how to find ideal clients and how to like what are ideal clients and what aren't ideal clients. And then also like red flags and green flags to avoid in this process, right? So basically just got him like fully primed up to start doing outreach. And this process took about 5 days. About 5 days. Not too long. Moved pretty quickly here. With that being said, after about 5 days, we started outreach on the 8th of July. So he joined on the 3rd. We started doing outreach on the 8th of July. And you can see here, he posted a small win because he did his first round of outreach. He did 20 total DMs, and he had somebody already requesting an introduction video using the strategy that we teach. Right. So he sent over 20 messages to ideal prospects on the first day. And immediately, just on the first day alone, he got somebody interested to want to send over a video introduction. So awesome stuff there. Then with that being said, since he had this client interested, he wanted to use my one-on-one help and one-on-one mentorship that I do provide. It just does cost an investment, obviously, to make sure that what he was doing and the client that he had was good. And also just to make sure that he wouldn't screw it up in any way, right? So he was talking about the offer that he had with the client. He was making sure that the commission structure was good and that everything was good, base pay, etc. So we ran through the numbers and made sure it all looked good. It was a fitness coaching program, so he had me also look at the person's profile to see if it was a good offer. And then the person actually sent a Loom video kind of going over like their process for hiring. So we vetted that out and made sure that looked good. And then I also gave him some interview tips and tricks for questions to ask on the interview, right? So if you think of just like a corporate 9-to-5 job, or if you have ever worked like fast food, retail, anything like that, most people, when you go to an interview, they just like, they're asking you the questions or your employer is asking you all the questions. But in this game of making money online, it's a little bit different. It's largely the same, but to these interviews, you actually want to show up and you want to ask your employer questions, because when you do that, it makes it seem like you're knowledgeable about what you're doing. And it can give people a really good impression that you actually know what you're doing. So I gave him some questions to make sure that he asks the guy so that when he was on the interview, it made him seem knowledgeable about what he was doing. And then also these questions are just good in general to make sure that you're not getting ripped off in a bad position that isn't worth it, right? So he wanted to run by some information about the client to make sure it was a good offer. I also gave him some tips and tricks to get ready for the interview and crush it. Then he actually took the interview and landed the client. So awesome stuff there. His offer was a 10 out of 10. He said that he closed 38 clients in April and was looking to make $50K per month. So one of the biggest things we talk about when we talk about finding ideal clients is somebody who has a great vision and a great product. So we had to check and do some screening on some of that stuff. He also said that he really needs a closer soon and he's willing to put in a lot of time to train me depending on how quickly I learn, and eventually I could be his closer, right? So I'll talk about why that's important in a second. But in terms of inbound DMs, he gets a solid amount every day. He gets over 20 inbound DMs every single day, and he's working with a coach. So really checking the boxes. I would call this like a 8, 9, or 10 out of 10, like Michael had alluded to there. He took the offer. They ended up agreeing to the terms of what are being paid to each other, etc. And he signed the contract, and he gets onboarded. He got onboarded that day, which was about 5 days ago. So literally, and then he posted it inside of the community, literally like 6 days after joining the program, just got his client in the fitness coaching niche, 1 day and 1 set of outreach. Very clean, very concise, super simple. And so after jumping on the interview and agreeing to terms, Michael and the client decided to both sign the contract from both perspectives and lock everything in to get started. And then just to kind of give you a rundown of the offer, because we have some numbers here to break down on how this works. The client's goal was to take home $50,000 per month, with Michael doing all of the appointment setting, right? So $50K per month was the goal of the business. They'd done it before. They just want to get back to that. I think it was because, so they did $50K in April, and then they did a little less than that in May and June, largely because I know Michael was talking to me about this because they were hiring and firing other appointment setters that weren't good. So like, as long as you guys just show up and be authentic, like you have a massive competitive advantage over most people, which is a little bit funny on how that works. Literally just like being a good person is a competitive advantage, which is awesome for the people that are good people, right? But anyways, like this client was looking to scale back to $50K per month with Michael doing all of the appointment setting, right? And Michael's agreement with the client was that he'd get a base pay of $670 per month plus 5% of all cash collected. And the reason why this 670 is a little bit of an obscure number is because 670 in USD translates to 1,000 a month in Australian dollars, which the client is also based in Australia, right? So this would have been more of like a clean number, but it's because of the currency translation and whatnot. And then also 5% of cash collected. So assuming that they hit this goal and this target right out of the gate, which would be the goal and the objective, this means that Michael would be getting paid 3.1K per month, which would be the on-track earning. And also, I think they can exceed that even further. I've done it before in companies. I've helped companies do that too. So there's that too. He can make even more than this just as an appointment setter. And also what tends to happen too is if you stay loyal to a company, they tend to raise this base pay. So that can happen too. And then more importantly too, like this is short-term money. So it's like making money now, yay, super fun. But also we're learning long-term things. And that's the biggest thing that we focus on. And I talk about on this channel as well, as like really having like a long-term mindset. So he's also in a long-term position that's lined up for him being a closer in the future, where you can usually get paid like 10% of cash collected, or maybe even more than that, just depends. And also we keep building the skill and he's going to keep making more money, right? So it's kind of a situation where this is like the starting income and we're going to keep exceeding that as we keep building the skill. And so this is one thing that I just want to take a quick second to talk about. Like most people inside of like growth operating and copywriting programs, if they even do provide one-on-one coaching, which some don't, they don't even focus on this. Like they tell you how to land your client in most cases. And then once you land your client, they stop helping you help your client. But it's the complete opposite with when I work with my students, because the biggest thing is I want to coach you guys on how to make more money inside of your positions, right? So instead of making 2K per month as an appointment setter, where it's like, oh, you at least made money, you made the money back on the program, whatever, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, I want to go in and help you make more than that inside of the position you're already working in by elevating your skill. So that's exactly what we're going to be doing, right? So this is awesome and this is great for Michael, and he's been doing a really good job. However, we still have a lot of work to do. As you can see here, he already is booking calls for his client and doing his job well and executing his position. But like I said earlier, we still have a ton of work to do. Like this is literally just like the start of like 10 steps. But you know, everything's going well. And also he's had a pretty crazy story with outreach, because that's most people struggle when it comes to finding clients. So figured I would come on and show you guys that regard. But basically to kind of summarize everything, in just 6 days of working with me, landed a client, got started, and already is producing results for his client. And he's also, more importantly, building skill sets that can make him money in any economy, in any industry. Maybe not any industry, but most industries and any time period as well. And then finally, on top of that as well, he has a really good client right now that they can kind of like build a vision and work towards together. And also kind of has like a long-term closing position lined up into the future, which is a little bit harder to land than an appointment setting client. So, and you can usually make more money, right? So in theory, being a closer, this on-track earning can very quickly go up to like 6K per month. And then if he builds his skill as a closer, it can even exceed that, you know, even further into the future, right? So with that being said, guys, if you guys are interested in one-on-one help, I'll provide information to that down below. I work with all my students one-on-one. It's not just like some shitty course where you just go and binge watch like a Netflix series. I think that's so cringe and nobody really learns that way. I do everything in like a one-on-one setting. And then we have course material to kind of like, you go one-on-one coaching, course material, back to one-on-one coaching, back to course material. And with that being said, guys, if you guys want information on that and you want a mentor to hold your hand through all of these steps so that you can start to see similar results like Michael is, then you can book a call and you can apply for one-on-one coaching in the link in the description. If not, just keep watching the YouTube content. But other than that, you guys have a fantastic rest of your day.